Find a place. Tim Ballard is hanging in. He's brought his wife in, Katherine Ballard. The nonprofit is the Spear Fund, and you can visit thespearfund.org if you'd like to help with the anti-trafficking, and I think you should. Good to see you, Katherine.
Thank you for having me.
So there's a trend. The trend is you run afoul of some bizarre narrative that the government sets forth or the powers that be set forth. I saw it all through COVID. You just run afoul. It happened to me. You know, they go, we're closing schools. And now I got 2 kids who are sitting home for a year and a half. And then I say, you should open the schools. And then they attack me. There's something going on. It's not the direction to go as a country. It's very third world, but we're living it. And you ran afoul of the left, essentially, and now they have to take you down. So there was a Vice article about you with lots of allegations, but anonymous women, and maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, well, I've been accused, first of all, of everything, like anything, you name it. I've been accused of being a trafficker, a pedophile, swindler. I mean, everything you can think of. So, and she always told me this one's coming, and I said, nah, this one wouldn't come. And yeah, it's allegations that pertain to. We talked about an operation, how we protect ourselves by having female partners, and we've rescued hundreds of kids doing that, and so the timing is so interesting. I don't know who these people are. They're still anonymous.
The people making the allegations.
People making the allegations. I mean, I've talked. We have,
how many wives have you had in these operations over the years?
Well, I'm not the only operator. So there's roughly 5 to 6 that I have seen work with different operators in different operations, and I'm talking to all of them. In fact, they're doing videos right now and they're posting, saying nothing ever happened. This was completely professional. We rescue kids and so forth. So it's a lot of it's very confusing to me because the numbers don't add up. I don't know who these people are, what the number is, and
because there's only a handful of women who have ever done this.
That's correct.
It's a very small pool. So if there's 5 or 8 and you've spoken to them and they're not making the allegation, then who are these women who are making the allegations?
That's the question that we need an answer to.
And what's in it for Vice?
Well, they've been after me for since the beginning. I mean, these guys are after me. The very first hit piece they did in 2020 on me had to do with the most ridiculous thing. I testified before Congress about the border wall, and I mentioned the story of a girl who we rescued herself, but she'd been trafficked through a border, a wall-less section of the border, and ended up being raped for years in New York City. And she rescued herself. I wrote an op-ed how she rescued herself. I testified before Congress how she rescued herself. But in a Fox op-ed that I wrote, I said that we helped her out of her hell. Okay, and that was written contemporaneous to the other testimonies I gave. And they said, look, Tim Ballard's taking credit for rescuing her when she rescued herself. And they knew darn well that I had clarified. They did a whole story just on that. So that was 2020. They've never let up. We got to find something wrong with this guy. And I think it has to do with the fact that I showed up with Trump.
Yeah, well, you said if we built a wall at the Mexican border, then that would help this horrible process that you're involved with. And then they heard wall, and now it's you and Trump, and now the Trump derangement kicks in, and now you must be taken down, even if your motives are to save children.
That's right. And every story about the allegation, it seems like there's a picture when I was briefing Trump in the White House. So once you have that picture up, then the left or leftist will say anything you want now.
Right.
Because he's sitting next to Trump talking to him.
Yeah. So the allegations were you showed them a picture of your tattoos and your underwear. You insisted on sleeping in the same bed with them and showering with them and things of that nature. Can you address that?
Yeah, the picture is so funny. I have it. I'm talking to my team, so I'll show it to you. It was taken by the tattoo artist. I'm completely asleep on a couch with my hands and arms propped with pillows, and it takes hours to do this. It's like an actor, like a movie. I have tats all over my body, so I'm in my underwear and I have tats on my leg. I'm asleep. It takes hours. You got to lay there for like a couple hours while it dries. It's a henna tattoo.
Oh, it's a henna tattoo.
Yeah, it's henna tattoo. I'm getting ready for an operation. So the tattoo artist named Katie, who she's done a video, she took a picture because I have to go back many times in that cover role, in that role. So she took a picture while I'm asleep. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't anything. It was just to take a picture, and then she sent it to a couple people and said, "Hey, keep this archived so that when Tim goes back into this case, I can redesign it exactly the same. We can't be off here." And that's the entirety of the picture. That's it.
So can we see that picture?
Sure.
Well, tell your team to send it to our team, and they'll put it up.
But see it, I mean,
so this is the kind of nonsense that, again, you just have to, I don't know, it's a new world order. We have to just deal with this on a daily basis. So you would get tattoos as part of the role, part of the character that the kind of guy who would be into this would be the kind of guy who had tattoos. Is that why you did the?
Absolutely.
But you didn't want permanent tattoos.
No, we do. We have a couple of henna tattoo artists, and they get us looking like crazy partiers and tourists.
Yeah. The other was insisting on sleeping in the same bed. With the woman.
No, I mean the closest that allegation would come from is the story I told you where we're getting a couple's massage and we're blocking for each other, so no one's actually getting touched by the sex worker, and we're having credibility. So that would be the closest to that.
But you're on separate beds.
Yeah, you're on separate
tables. Yeah, but how would it work if you're posing with your wife and you come into town? Do you have to stay at the same hotel? Do you have to stay in the same room? I mean, you never know who's watching, who's talking.
Right.
It makes a certain degree of sense, even that you sleep in the same bed. I mean, it's a little iffy, but what I'm saying is You definitely wouldn't check into the local hotel and then just go, you go to the right, I'll go to the left, because the guy behind the counter may call in and go, these guys aren't staying in the same room.
So this is all thought out well in advance, and we get hotels that are suites, or where there's multiple people renting a house. And so, because we have to be careful, it's true, they could be watching us. Okay, are they still a couple? They're going into a hotel, where are they going? So I have logistics guys on the ground that they'll either get hotel rooms that are suites, and they're in there already, and I'm always hanging out with someone else. Like, oh, my buddy's traveling with me too, right? So yeah, I mean, we consider ourselves undercover the whole time, and we'll go into what we call the sting house, and usually we do Airbnb because that's easier, and we just go in, and so if they see us go in, and there's 5 bedrooms in there,
right,
and the bad guys aren't coming into the bedroom, into the house to see that you're not in the same room. So.
Right, and then shower together. Yeah,
that story is a true story that I've told, and I'll tell it again. We rescued 27 kids. It was this one time ever that this happened. We were doing the couples ruse in a spa called the Spa Bon Javo in Dominican Republic, and the intel said that kids were being sold out of that place. So I was actually working with one of our operators. Her name is Marisol Nichols. She's actually an actress and an operator, so she does a very good job. And we were doing the massage thing, but we ordered like a mud thing, because the massage thing leads to having to fight the sexual touching stuff with the sex worker. So we said, let's start with the mud, and I'll get the intel before it's over. Well, I didn't get the intel before it was over, but I was this close. She was about to tell me where they were. So we said, hey, can you order a different thing? Can you order a different service? Well, we have a massage. I'm like, all right. I had to stay there because I'm this close to getting them to tell me where the kids are. So they say, okay, so I open this door and there's a shower. It's like, shower up. And we're like, oh, you gonna leave the room? And like, no, we gotta clean this mess up and prepare for the massage. So we're like, oh crap, well, here we go. I told my wife about it. So we went in there, and you have to think on your feet. So I throw a towel over the window so they can't see. And we're wearing clothes. You're wearing your bathing suit. You don't go naked in these things. And so she goes in, I go in, and we don't even touch each other. And the towel conceals that we're not.
Right.
And so we've told that story like, that was crazy, that was awkward. You just tell one person, and then it goes boom, boom, boom. Oh, we take showers.
Right.
And I know that's where it came from. I was like, I heard you take a shower, and Marisol's like, yeah, well, not really. And by the way, the 27 kids who were rescued in the particular case, they were from Colombia, Venezuela. They were being kept in a chicken coop. And this is the part that everyone likes to leave out of the story. They were being kept in a chicken coop with a padlock on the outside of the chicken coop, and that's where they lived. And they were brought out at night and raped for money by sex tourists. We rescued all of them. And if I had not got into that shower and stood in the corner and touched nobody, that wouldn't have happened. You got to stay in role. You
would have been made if you said, I'm not going to take a shower with my wife.
Correct.
Because that would have made it seem like you were exactly who you are.
Exactly.
God, I don't know how folks like from Vice and many of these people that write these articles, I just don't know how they sleep at night. I don't know how they call themselves journalists. That's the part that drives me insane. But all right, so those were the 3, or at least the big 3. And then as everyone, and maybe Katherine, you can speak to this, the saddest part about this is everyone's knee-jerk reaction. Oh boy, we got to distance ourselves because some rag publication wrote a hit piece on you because they think you voted for Trump. And now people distance themselves, the church or the organization or what have you. That's the scariest part. And I think the people who write the article know all we have to do is just float something out there. And, if you're Russell Brand, we'll float some stuff out there and YouTube will drop you. And your sponsors will drop you. And people will distance you before any vetting, any trial, any conviction, just guilty until proven innocent. Katherine, any thoughts on that?
Well, it's definitely been very difficult. We live in a very tight community. We are a very faith-filled family. And we've really oriented ourselves around being faithful to our religion and to Christ. And these details about Tim are not things that most people want to hear. And I get that. I don't like hearing about the work about what he has to do to rescue children, but he's rescuing children. And I know that he has done it in a way of complete faithfulness to me. And so it's so hard. And we have this big we're a family of 11. And it's so hard for these things to be spread around. Like you said, someone just floating the idea without looking into the facts of it. And people wondering, wait, so is Tim a good guy or a bad guy? And fortunately, we have so many friends and so many people that are behind us. But it is out there. Those statements are out there, floating these allegations against Tim, when in reality, he has worked so hard and dedicated so much of his life to rescue kids and remain completely faithful to me and to God.
I think we have that picture ready. Well, I heard. It says on my screen, it's ready.
I'm not embarrassed by it. I mean, there it is.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, Katherine. I mean, look at my eyes. Zoom in on my eyes. I'm completely asleep.
Right.
I'm laying there for hours.
Right.
And the person taking the picture is Katie, and she's took it and sent it to a few of the operators who and say, hey, keep this archived. So I'm going to go back in undercover with that. Luckily, this case is dead.
Right.
This particular case led to the rescue, by the way, of many children who were being beat up and raped by these Dutch pedophiles in Mexico and Ecuador. Huge case. So I had to keep going back, and they only last a few days, right?
The henna tattoos.
So does that look like I'm doing some kind of a sex pic?
No.
Does that look like a sexy pic I'm sending to someone?
No, but does it look a little like Hunter Biden at his worst? A little bit. Just shades. Not trying to draw a comparison. I'm just saying there's a slight physicality there with the beard. That's all. So yes, Now it makes complete context.
Yeah.
There's context to this, and it makes complete and utter sense. Yeah, you have a big heart on your right thigh made out of barbed wire. It's the kind of thing that these guys would help.
And that no, that's look, and they look at when you're getting the massage, you're doing the treatment. They see this, they're like, this guy's crazy. That's the F word in Spanish.
Above your groin there.
Timmy.
Oh, sorry.
He always washes it off before he comes home.
I do.
I don't like this side. I don't like this side.
No, I don't let her. I feel bad she's saying this because I take time to.
Sorry.
But a bad guy sees something like that, and
Yes.
boom. I've made a million miles right there with him.
Well, what you're looking for, and you can take the picture down before Catherine has to lose her cookies into the trash can. You're looking for tenths and percentage points. Every little thing adds up, from the car you pull in to who's playing your wife to do you have a tattoo. I mean, it all adds up to a number, and you need that number to work.
That's right.
So any edge you can get from even a piece of jewelry to a way you say something to, if they offered you a drink, I don't think you'd go, no, I don't drink. You'd go, yeah, give me your best tequila, or whatever that is. It's all part of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't drink, so I actually, look, I've been doing this for so long, I'm really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, I even have little things like because they're watching, but I'll order like a rum and Coke with the can.
Mm-hmm.
And my operator buddy's like, dude, who cares? But, just do what. And I was like, why not? I can do this just as easily. I take a sip, then I take a sip of the Coke, spit it, and then I throw the can away.
So you take a sip of the glass of rum and Coke and then pretend like you're taking a sip out of the can and spit it back into the can.
I just throw a full can of Coke that's now
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean,
I do drink. I'd be the guy getting the can out of the trash can and drinking that on the walk back to the hotel.
Well, there's just little things. I've been doing this for so long. It's like clockwork. Our team knows we're going here. Okay, I order the tats, get the phones dirtied up. You got to dirty up these phones.
What do you mean dirty them up?
This is an important piece. And traffickers, if they want to find out who you are, if they grab your phone. I've been with traffickers where they'll take your phone or they'll ask you for it. And if you don't give it to them,
It's a problem.
It's a problem. And they'll go into the search queue and just say cop, operation, arrest, blah, blah, whatever, to see if you're a cop.
Right.
And so we have like a thread where we are communicating with our cover teams, but it's all cute code words. Like we're acting like it's a party time. We're party person, going back to the party house. We know the party house. That would be the safe house. Imagine if I'm with my wife. Let's just say it's. And I've asked her many times, will you come on operations with me? And she doesn't have that in her to do that.
No.
But imagine if she's my wife in operation, and the trafficker takes my phone, and let's say her name is whatever, Kelly, her undercover name. So they're going to look at that phone and look at, hey, let's see how Brian talks to Kelly. Are they saying, hey, we got to meet with the DA's office tomorrow, or are they being? Is it like sex touristy?
Right.
Sexy. And so I literally have a team that will preload my phones, and so they'll have like weeks before the operation. So the conversation didn't just start yesterday. When we met the traffickers, and they're like, oh yeah, these guys they're sick, twisted sexual people. You know what I'm saying? So that can be used against me. Like, oh well, look what he wrote to me.
Yeah, I think there's a psychological dynamic. I think from a lot of people, but you can tell me if you've given this some thought. I think there's a certain percentage of people that hear what people like you are doing, and they go, he's into this somehow. Like there's something compelling him. He's. I don't know if he's doing it, but who would be attracted to this? Not any normal person. I wouldn't be attracted to this. So there's some reason he's attracted to it. There's something going on there. I think that could be some of it with some people. Have you ever given that any thought?
I think that this is just such a horrifying world. And if you didn't know about child trafficking, the very idea of it is horrifying. How could someone do this to a child? And then you hear that someone is rescuing them, and you're like, oh, great. He must be the most perfect, amazing, heroic person ever. And then someone floats some of the tactics that they have to use in order to rescue. And like you're saying, it's like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't look clean, and like he's sitting at a library, you're reading good books, and then he rescues a child. Like that doesn't jive. That looks dirty. What he's doing looks dirty. So he must be a part of this dirty thing. And I think that I can understand that. I mean, I don't like looking at the pictures. He likes to send me pictures of him in the wig, and it's just like nasty to me. I don't even recognize him because.
What's the wig for? Wig is just more cover?
I mean, my disguises got better and better because I was still doing media before Sound of Freedom. I was still, I'd be on Fox News or doing different things. And so we had to up the disguise, and we ended up getting into, I dyed my hair to the point that I think I wrecked it.
Yeah, it's still not the right color.
Yeah, it's never come back. So then we got into wigs. So yeah, I mean, the disguise just got better and better.
And he looks like a sicko.
Yeah.
He looks like a sicko. And anyone looking at that would think, well, I know what undercover work does, so Tim must participate to a certain extent in the name of rescuing children. But the truth is that he hasn't. And the movie is awesome, and they've done such a good job. But one of the things that they really misrepresent is the team that Tim is always surrounded by. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it looks like Jim Caviezel and maybe a couple guys, and it's just him. And then he goes out solo, and that is never the case. They go in as a huge team. Mm-hmm. There's multiple couples. Mm-hmm. There's support groups. There's couples. There's tons of police. Local law enforcement. So that's a part that no one's thinking about as they float these accusations. They're thinking about Tim as Jim Caviezel just being out there solo doing his own thing, and he's never alone. He's never alone. So the future, Tim, politics, what do you think? And does the notion of you
floating out that you may want to take Mitt Romney's place. Is that, you think, the cause for some of these hit pieces by Vice and other publications?
Well, the timing was certainly interesting. I was back in Congress, testifying before Congress about what? The border wall. And I did call out the president by name and I asked, do you not care as much about foreign children as you do about American children? I believe you do, so let's treat them well. I made a big deal about it. I testified before 2 houses in Congress that week, and it did leak that we were prayerfully considering a run for the Senate, and it was 5 days later. 5 days later, all this hit.
Right. That's the new world order. So sad. But the sad part isn't what Vice is doing. The sad part is the scared people that are going along with it. This has all been was my COVID theme. It wasn't what's Fauci and the LA Times doing. It's what are all the citizens doing. That's the part that scared me. Well, not that you need me to tell you, but you're doing the Lord's work. The Spear Fund is where you go. The spearfund.org is where you go. And Tim, Katherine, thank you so much for coming in here and sharing your story. It was illuminating. And of course, Sound of Freedom, probably not in theaters, but VOD, you can go rent it, get it on demand.
It's run through Latin America, it's hitting Europe next, and at some point it'll be, I don't know what the deal with the theaters, but at some point it'll definitely be available streaming. So.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll talk to legendary, well, he's a boxing commentator, but I know him as local sports. He was doing LA sports back in the day out here. Jim Lampley, right after this.